Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. Thank you for even stopping by. The fact that you clicked the video or clicked the link means that you're making an effort, and I appreciate that. I hope that everybody is doing well. I hope your families are all doing well. As I've said in my previous video, I know that we're all going through trying times, but I hope that you're finding ways of pushing through regardless. To be honest with you, this is like, I'm recording this in the night. I'm very tired. I've been on the road, and as you can see, my eyes are just waiting to be shut. These baggy things, they signify something. I'm really tired, but anyway, I'm just gonna get this out of the way quick and fast, and then go to my bed. So yes, I'm back, and you know what this channel is about already. You know what I'll be talking about, of course. I mentioned this previously. I'll be sharing with you my experiences, the encounters I've had with God, and I'm gonna help you to understand why I have so much faith, so much trust in my Father, my Heavenly Father. All right. So I really don't, it's been a long journey. It's been a long, winding and then exhausting, and then I don't know how to describe it, but it's been a journey, an exciting journey. I can say that much. It has been an exciting journey. There isn't any part of it that I regret, because today, because of all that I've gone through, I'm now a stronger person. I'm now more knowledgeable about certain things. I've grown. I've grown because of these experiences, and I'm grateful that I was brought through them, even the bad ones. So let's just get right into things, because I don't want the video to be extremely long. I don't know where to start. That's the thing. I really don't know where to start. And I hope that I don't shed any tears on the camera. I don't want to shed any tears. I don't want y'all to, I don't want y'all to laugh at me. I don't want y'all to see my weakness. I'm a crybaby, but I'll be strong for this one. So let me start by maybe giving you a little bit of background information about myself. I grew up not as a sheltered child, but I was hard on myself. I wanted to be the perfect child. I just always strive to be in line. I'm always striving to meet and surpass expectations. I was the what you would call, is it the prized child, or the whatever you want to call it, but I was that child, right? Wanted to do everything that was pleasing to everybody else, maybe not even to myself, but of course I wanted to be seen as the perfect example. But where do I go from here? Let me see. So that out of the way, I graduated high school pretty young. I was 15 years old. Went on to sixth form, went on to teachers college, started teaching at 19 years old, right? I'm kind of skipping over these things. They are relevant to what I'm going to say. So I'm just giving you a little bit of information there. I taught at a particular school for 1 year. That was when I just started teaching. And then I moved on to another school, and I spent all of 8 years there preparing students for GSAT. Now, I must say, I really enjoyed that job. Well, I enjoyed the first few years at that institution. I had a good relationship with my students. I had good relationships with the parents and so on. And things were going pretty good. Things were also going well. Otherwise, I had bought a house or mortgaged a house, if you want to put it that way. I was doing my first degree at the time. I had 2 children. I had my first child at 22 and I had my second child at 25. So things were going pretty well. I was comfortable with my life, and everything was going according to plan until the devil decided to give me a hell of a ride. Until the devil decided that, listen, this is not going to be a smooth path. I'm ensuring I will make every effort to ensure that your life is a living hell. And the devil meant that because I went through a very rocky path. I was in pain for years. I suffered for years. And I went through this pretty much alone, honestly. All right. So I was doing all that. I had my house, I had my children, I was studying. I had a little change in my bank book. I was studying from my bank book, not wanting to take any loan. I said, no, sir, I don't take no loan because, me a good girl like that. Me I go save, me I go work for what I want and buy it out of my pocket, or so I thought. I don't know. I really don't know how to get into the details, to be honest with you. So let me tell you about this job. I spent 8 years there, as I've said before. The students did pretty well. My students were always prepared for GSAT. They were always looking forward to doing the exam and doing well and so on. And it was just fun going through. I ensured that I did my best. Maybe my best wasn't good enough, but I did my best. When I was there, I gave 150%, maybe more. Now, I had a problem. I had a problem. I'm just someone who is always late. Let me put it out there. I've worked on that though, and I'm better, thank God. But then I would always be late. However, I also ensured that my tardiness did not affect, students. I did not want to have the guilt to walk around with, knowing that because I was late for work or whatnot, students weren't passing their exams. So I would stay back in the evenings. I would have extra lessons. I would tell students that they'd have to pay, but then they didn't have the money, and of course they would still stay. They would still they wouldn't be turned away or anything. So I would be at school for hours, and right, every single year we sat and waited for those exam results because we knew or we expected them to be good. So things were okay when I just started at the school. Everything was okay. I was happy. I loved the environment and all of that. And then everything just shifted. And I couldn't say why. I couldn't come up with the reason. I searched for it. I couldn't come up with the reason as to why everything was going like downhill. The tension was high at my workplace. I just didn't want to be there. There were days when I really didn't want to be there. It was toxic. It was just not what it was supposed to be, or what it used to be before. And it got to the point where, because I won't say much about this, because out of respect for some persons, and of course my video is not intended to hurt anybody or offend anybody or disrespect anybody, so I'm going to leave out some of the details, but I'm going to tell you just enough to make you understand my message. All right. So it got to the point where I remember I was assessed on one occasion. Back in Jamaica, you're assessed or evaluated 3 times for the year, at least 3 times for the year. And documents were sent off to the ministry, of course, to put on your file. Now, I remember being assessed this one time, and when they met me, when the team that assessed me met with me to give me feedback, they all said, they didn't find any weakness. They couldn't find any drawback. That's what they told me. I wasn't the one who said that. They actually said it. They couldn't find any drawback. They couldn't find any weakness in that particular lesson. And as such, everything was okay. The whole works, yada, yada, yada. So after a few days after that, I got the document to sign, because they would have to write a report, and then the teacher would have to sign. So I got the document to sign, and when I got it, something was written on the back of it. An observation, a weakness. Remember what they had told me before. And when I read it, I was like, no, this wasn't true. And I was caught between addressing it or just letting it slide, or whatever the case may be, because too many things were going on at the time, and I just didn't know what move would have been correct. All right. So I went home. I didn't say anything about it. I didn't say anything to the principal or whatnot. But the type of person I am, listen, me can't hold anything in. I cannot go to my bed knowing that I have something to talk about, knowing that I'm displeased about something or whatever the case may be. So I went home, and of course I couldn't sleep. I just wanted to get back to school in the morning. So the following morning, I went to work. I was angry, very, very angry. I mean, my black skin turned red. I went to school, and I couldn't hold it. I stepped out of the car, left the car right by the gate. It was still running, engine still on, whatnot. And I went in, I called everybody. I called the principal, everybody to the staff room. And when I called them, I said to them, listen, I'm going to say what I have to say. I don't want anybody to carry, news from one to the other or whatever, add to it and whatnot. So I'm going to say what I have to say in front of everybody. And I started to cry. And of course, I poured out everything that I had inside of me that morning. I was shouting, I was crying, I was just letting it off. So I did that. And that was that. Probably I could have dealt with it differently. But I was angry. I was very, very upset. I was upset because when I went to the other team members, when I saw the thing written on the document, I went to all but one person on the team, right? And everybody I went to told me that they weren't aware of the thing I was reading or the thing I was saying, the thing I saw on the statement I saw on the document. They weren't aware of that. And that was, so wrong, because whatever is written on whatever was on the document should have been discussed. It should have been something decided on by the team, the entire team, everybody who assessed me, right? So that was not done. And so I was upset about that. After I did what I did that morning, the the statement was removed from my document. And yeah, I think I apologized to the principal as well, because as I've said before, I could have handled it differently. Anyway, moving on. I thought everything was okay. I turned up to school again another day and heard that a memo was sent around indicating that there would have been a board meeting because of how I reacted to the situation that morning. The book was also sent to me. So when I got to work, the book was also sent to me. And yes, that was that. I went home. I spoke to persons. I grabbed my code of regulations. I think code of regulations, right? Yeah. I grabbed my code of regulations. I read through it. Another memo came around indicating that it wasn't a board meeting. It was just a meeting with the board chairman to discuss the situation. Okay, so fine. That's all right. All right. So let me shift from that a little bit. While this was going on, I was also under attack at home. So the devil wasn't having his way with me at work because I was standing up for myself. I was fighting it through. Even in the pain, I was fighting it through. He was throwing punches and I was hitting back, like I was hitting back, and so things started to happen at home as well. I didn't want to go home and I didn't want to be at work. It was like hell in both places. A whole lot was going on. I remember I had to stop studying because I had used up all the money in my savings. And as I've said before, I didn't want to take a loan. I didn't take a loan. So I used up all the money in my savings. I stopped studying before I finished my course, of course. Just a lot. It was too much. And I was depressed. I was under it. I was so depressed to the point where I started having health issues. I was having, what do they call it? I was breathing short, right? For the most part. I would have to jump up, while sleeping at nights, or whenever I was sleeping. I had to jump out of my sleep because I felt as if I wasn't breathing. My complexion changed. I'm a real black girl, and I'm telling you, I was black. I got so dark. You see, these, you could actually store water in them. They were catchments, yes. I lost weight. I was thin. And I grew up as a slim girl. No, I was half what I would normally be, half the size I would normally be. So I was thin, lost weight. My complexion changed. I had dark patches on my body, and nobody knew all of these things. Nobody knew that this was actually happening to me. I was embarrassed. I was so conscious of how I looked and whatnot. I felt disappointed in myself. I felt as if, I failed myself, basically. It also got to a point where my daughter was afraid of me. She was like about 5 years old at the time. My son was too young. He was about 2 or 3. And my daughter was afraid of me because my whole tone changed, how I spoke to her and whatnot. All of that changed. I became very aggressive. I was aggressive. I was hating on everyone. I was also, hating on myself. So whenever I spoke to her, even if I was just calling her name or whatnot, even if I just called her name, she had this thing where she would start to tremble. And that ripped me apart. Every time she did it, I was like torn to pieces, right? She would start trembling and she would raise her hand. If I'm saying something to her, like, why did you leave your dish there, or whatever the case may be, she would just run to a corner, hold her hands up and, start to, she was afraid of me. because of how aggressive I became. And I feel the tears, but I'm not gonna cry. And yeah, so all of that was happening at home while the situation was taking place at school. So remember now that I was actually waiting for that meeting to be held, and all of that was on my mind, right? I also found myself borrowing something that is so not me. It's really hard for me to beg. It's really hard for me to borrow. And I found myself calling people who weren't even my friends, just associates, right? Asking them to lend me money. And thank God I was told no on every occasion, right? I had nobody to turn to. My family would tell me no just the same. Remember I said that I was, the child who was perfect and whatnot. So when things got to that and I didn't have anything anymore and whatnot, it was as if the world was against me. I couldn't call on my family. Unfortunately, I didn't have friends I would, just call on and whatnot. I, of course, had my best friend, Stacy. I could talk to her, but I don't know. I'm kind of different. I will just hold things in. I'll internalize things and whatnot. And that was really bad for me. So I didn't do it. I didn't reach out to anybody per se. They knew though. Stacy knew. And, a few other persons knew that, things weren't right with me because I was, just not connecting with anybody at all. So all of that was happening, and I was going through it. Depressed. I remember going to the doctor. They gave me this, they couldn't find out what was happening to me, but I knew what was happening to me. And so they gave me a long list of about 15 tests to do. And I decided that I wasn't going to do it because I wasn't going to do them because I knew exactly what was happening to me. And all I needed to do was to relax and, put everything aside and move on with life. I didn't do those tests, by the way. So yeah, a lot was happening. I had nobody to talk to. I need to stress that I felt lost. I was in this dark place all by myself. I had two persons, to be honest with you, who would dry my tears every single day. My son and my daughter. They witnessed me crying day after day after day after day. And these two children would wipe my tears. Hug me, remind me that they would remind me that I was loved. These little babies, they were there. And I found out that family was talking behind my back, and it ripped me apart, but I held it together. I had thoughts that I wouldn't even share in this video because I don't want my children watching the video and hearing all this stuff. So I'm gonna just move past that. But I was disappointed in myself. I was really disappointed in myself. So yes, still here, still waiting on the meeting to be held. Fighting at home and all of that, whatnot. So I remember this particular weekend, I was at home and I had an argument. I left and I went to a family's house and I stayed there overnight. And then the other day, which I think was a Sunday, yes, I went to church. And when I went to church, the message was about life's blueprint. So the pastor was saying, God had a blueprint for everyone's life. Like my life had a blueprint, and not everyone could read the blueprint. It's just like how you would have like a plan drawn for a house or whatnot, and if you should take that plan to the wrong person, someone without the necessary skills, someone without the necessary knowledge and whatnot, then you would end up being disappointed, because of course you're not going to get what you're looking for. And it's the same way that God has this blueprint for our lives. And if it is that we allow the wrong contractors to take on this project, if it is that we allow the wrong persons to intervene in our life, the wrong persons to be in our space, right, then of course things will not go the way God has them planned, right? Or things will not go the way they are supposed to go. So that was the message, that blueprint. And that I was in church and I was like, God, is that you? Are you speaking to me? And I was trying to make eye contact with the pastor. I needed a message. I needed somebody to say something to me, because I couldn't understand what was happening. I couldn't understand why the world was against me. I just had no answer, and I needed an answer. I believed in God. I knew there was a God, but at the same time, I didn't experience anything before. I hadn't experienced anything before. So that was just that. I believed in God, and that was it, right? So I was in church and I was trying to make contact with the pastor, because I wanted to know at that moment that the pastor was actually talking to me. But pastor now call me name, and pastor now come down to me. Pastor looking at me now, but pastor now come down to me. I wanted to cry, but I held it together. I remember, right? So yeah, church over. We went home that Sunday. I stayed home. Still in my life was just a roller coaster. And I remember the following Tuesday. So the Tuesday following that Sunday, I was home. And it was as if my cup was full. I at that point, enough was enough. I wanted to be over and done with, everything to be over and done with. I basically lost it at that point. If nothing was being fixed, right? If God couldn't fix it at that moment, it would have been best for him to take me. That was what I was thinking. I was cleaning my house, and I would try to clean away the pain. That's what I did back then. Like every time I felt down, every time I felt as if I wanted somebody to talk to, every time I felt as if, I had too much going on my mind, I would get my broom, I would start cleaning. I would clean from morning to nightfall, right? I don't know what I was doing, but that was my solution to the problem. And I was in the room on that particular day. I was in my son's room, and it was overwhelming. Everything just came down on me, and I was like, God, this is it. I can't take it anymore. I cannot take it anymore. No, just bear in mind that the meeting did not come as yet. The date of the meeting did not come, so I was still waiting on that. And I was like, God, I can't take this anymore. I'm done. It's over and done with. Just finish it off. And I never did take time and I talk to God, make it real mad. I was like, what you do to me? What you really do to me? I'm trying to do everything that I know I'm supposed to do, and yet you have me here suffering. I said, what you do to me? What you do to me? You really are going to watch me dead? I thought you really are going to watch me dead? And I cried and I cried and I cried. I was on my knees and I was crying, crying. And then I felt a little better and I got up, went to my room. When I went to my room, my phone was on my bed. I looked at the phone, there were 2 missed calls, right? The calls came in around about 5 minutes before I got to my room, which would have been the same time that I was on my knees in my son's room, talking to God and praying and crying and whatnot. So I was like, okay, let me call back. Usually I wouldn't return a call, especially if I didn't know the number. But there was something just urging me to call back. I called the number and a pastor answered. And I was like, okay, why was the pastor calling me? And she said to me, Bobbit, because she knew me from we were from the same community, right? We weren't living in the same community at the time. I had moved out, but yeah, I knew her from my community. And she said, Bobbit, that's my, what you call it, yard name, or what we call it in Jamaica, nickname, right? So she said, Bobbit, I don't know what's going on with you. I don't know what's happening to you. But on Sunday, and I was like, hold on, somebody told you something? Did my aunt say something to you? You know, did anybody say anything to you? Because this cannot be happening. The same time you were calling, I was on my knees, I was crying. I was like, no, God, what's happening here? This is scary. What are you doing? And she said to me, I don't know what's happening with you. Nobody said anything to me. When you were in church on Sunday, because she was the one preaching at the church. She was a guest preacher at the church I went to the Sunday before. And she said, when I was in church preaching, God showed me you. And he said that you weren't okay. I decided to approach you, but he said I shouldn't. At that moment, you were too vulnerable and I shouldn't approach you in church. So that's why I didn't say anything to you. But this morning, this Tuesday morning, remember now, it's the same morning I'm here having this conversation with God. My cup was running over, all of that. And she said, I was washing my son's white clothes and your face came up in the water. I dropped everything. I didn't have any credit on my phone. I ran to the shop. Like crazy, got a phone card and called you, but I called twice and you did not answer. God gave me a message to give you. And I have, well, at that point, she said she had to come and see me. She had to pray with me, pray with the family, whatever the case may be. Days went by and she was busy. She was, just not finding the time to come by me. But one day she decided that she couldn't delay any longer. She came to my house like after 11 in the night and she prayed with me. And she said, God said to tell you that there was something big. There was something big coming my way. And the devil decided that thank you, Jesus. The devil decided against it. The devil decided that I could not receive that which was in store for me. She also said to me that God said to tell you that you can't handle this situation. You just can't handle this situation. It's bigger than you. The only thing you can do is pray. She also told me that God said he had it under control. He's fighting the battle. And I needed to, let go and let God. I didn't know what to do. I was shocked. I was scared. I was like, is this happening for real? Did God really send me a message? Is this happening? Is this for real? But I believed. And it increased my faith. It increased my faith in God. That was proof enough that God was real. That was proof enough that I could actually speak to God. That was proof enough that God was hearing me. It was frightening, but it was a very good experience. I found peace from that moment. Now, things did not start to happen because the devil is not going to let up, right? The devil the devil continued to press. But at that moment, I found a bit of peace because I knew that God was helping me with my burdens, and I didn't have to carry them alone. Now, a few days after that, it was also said that I had to move from the institution I was employed to. But that's another story. A few days after that, please bear with me because I'm trying to remember all this and I'm trying to cut out the irrelevant information. A few days after that, I remember, attending the meeting with the board chairman. I remember the epistle or whatever you call it that was read or written and read about me. And when I heard it, I cried. I remember sitting in that meeting and seeing tears running down another teacher's face, you know. And you're probably wondering, you know, why is she laughing? I have to smile. Every time I remember those things, I smile because, you know, without them I wouldn't have been this person today. I wouldn't have been this strong. You know, I'm an overcomer. I'm not a victim, right? I'm a victor. You know, I've won. You know, God has won the battle for me. And yeah, the meeting came. They read out the whole whatever they had written there, and I got a chance to speak. I was thankful for the persons who were brave enough and fair enough to also speak on my behalf to say, you know, some of the things that were said were not true and all of that. Not much came out of that because I guess the result that that particular person was looking for at that time, it was not meant to be because whatever the case may be. So at the end of the meeting, the chairman asked both of us to hug, and he pointed out that both of us were, you know, wrong at some point. And so that was that. I remember in the meeting, I told the principal what had happened with the pastor, you know, what the pastor shared with me, and the principal laughed. And I was like, okay, you know, moving right along. But I'm saying all of this, I hope, you know, I said enough to allow you to understand, of course, what that encounter did for me. I hope you're able to, you know, get some understanding from it. I hope you're inspired by it. And I'm saying all this just to say that, remember what I had said before, your life has a blueprint, just as how any project, a house, whatever it is, has a plan. And you have to ensure that you hand that blueprint to the right person. Because if the blueprint gets in the hands of the wrong person or persons, you'll be in trouble. Let me tell you that much. God is real. God is so real. This is just a fraction, a tiny fraction of my story and the challenges that I overcame. This is just a tiny bit of what God, you know, has been doing for me, or what God has done for me. And I'm just reminding you today again that Knee City works. Pray as much as you can. Pray for me too, because I need your prayers. I need your prayers. It's never too much. It's never too much. So keep praying for me. I'll pray for you as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to stop it here because it's already 38 minutes long. I didn't want it to be this long. And of course, there are other parts to this story, and I will be sharing them with you. I hope you're looking forward to the next video. I'm looking forward to, you know, share another piece of the good, what should I call it now? Episode or series with you. So until then, please remember to subscribe if you haven't done so. Like, share, comment, and click that notification bell. Bye bye, I guess. See you in the other video.